What's up YouTube, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and welcome to the detailed speed test between the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus and the iPhone 7 Plus. So in the usual style, we'll be covering everything from benchmark scores to camera launch to loading standard apps, games, and then finally looking at multitasking. Now before we start, a few disclaimers. The S8 Plus I have here is the Exynos version, and that is the only version available to me here in the UK. Also for this test, we will be using 1080p for the resolution of the S8 Plus rather than Quad HD, and this is because the iPhone 7 Plus is also 1080p, and this way things will be as fair as possible. Finally, both devices have been updated to the latest software version available. Now if you like the skin that I've got here on my S8 Plus and want to pick one up for yourself, then definitely check out D-Brand Skins, who are the sponsor for this video. I'll be leaving a link to them in the description below. Now starting off with results from Geekbench 4, you can see here that although the S8 Plus has a higher multi-core score, the iPhone 7 Plus has a much higher single core score. Now for the camera launch, the quickest way to launch the camera on the S8 Plus is double pressing the standby button. This used to be the home button on the S7 Edge, but we no longer have a physical home button. The quickest way to launch the camera on the iPhone 7 Plus is to wake it, then swipe right. Now to make things as fair as possible, I've done these both separately and then synced them up here, and it does seem like the S8 Plus is ever so slightly quicker. Here we can see it slowed down, and we do launch the camera ever so slightly quicker on the S8 Plus. Which one of these methods is more convenient will come down to your personal preference. Now let's move on to the app test. You can see here that we've got no recent apps open, and here is the list of apps that we'll be using, starting off with the calculator, which was pretty much neck and neck. We're going to do a simple calculation on here and just leave it on in the background. We'll come back to this later to see if it's still open. Now let's move on to the browsers. We are using the default browsers that came with both devices because these are usually the most optimized. Now we're just going to go on to the BBC News website. I think it was ever so slightly quicker on the S8 Plus here. We'll accept the cookies and let's move on to an article. And here it was quicker on the 7 Plus. Now we'll leave this article open and let's go on to Twitter. Was quicker here on the S8 Plus. Now we'll go on to the notifications, and that was ever so slightly quicker on the 7 Plus. Moving on to Instagram, slightly quicker on the S8 Plus here, and let's move on to my profile. Quicker here on the 7 Plus. We'll open an image. Quicker on the S8 Plus. We'll leave this image on in the background and let's move on to YouTube. Now we've got some different content on here, so we can't take this test into consideration, but we'll open the first video, which is the same one from my buddy Zach on Jerry Rig Everything. Started playing first on the S8 Plus here. We'll pause this video and now let's move on to the games. So starting off, we have Angry Birds 2. Now you'll notice this little timer that we have here, and we'll be using this timer for the game so we can see exactly how much of a difference there is. And we'll wait till the game is fully loaded up, and it does finish first on the S8 Plus. The 7 Plus comes in roughly about 4 seconds later. Going back home, we'll try Temple Run 2. And this time it was quicker on the 7 Plus. The S8 Plus comes in a few seconds later. I will play the game and we'll leave this open in the background once again, moving on to Subway Surfers. First on the 7 Plus once again, and a couple of seconds later on the S8 Plus. Now the final game here is Dead Trigger 2. Now for the initial screen is first on the 7 Plus. We'll play the game and we'll see which one loads the full game up first. That was very quick here on the 7 Plus, and the S8 Plus comes in almost 5 seconds later. So for most of the games it looks like the 7 Plus has been the winner so far. Now we're going to leave these in the background and let's test out multitasking. So we'll see if everything is open where we left it. Calculator is in the same place. Browser in the same place. Twitter. Notifications where we left it. Instagram. On my Salt Bay pose. YouTube, same place, we can play the video. And let's move on to the games now. So Angry Birds 2, in the same place. Temple Run 2, yep, same place, we can resume the game as well. Subway Surfers, yep, resume here too. That's fine. And finally Dead Trigger 2. So there we have it guys, the detailed speed test between the iPhone 7 Plus and the Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. I think both devices were super fast. For the less intensive apps it was a bit of a draw, with the S8 Plus winning some and the 7 Plus winning some. But for most of the games it is the iPhone 7 Plus which took the win. And this has been the case for most tests that we've done before. I think this simply comes down to the fact that some of these apps are a little bit more optimized for the iPhones compared to Android phones here. And remember, this time we did use 1080p resolution on the S8 Plus just to make things as fair as possible. So guys, what did you think of the results? Was it what you were expecting? Drop me a comment below and let me know. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then please do hit that thumbs up button for me. It really does help me out. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe and switch on notifications because there's plenty more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.